I can still hear the clinking of forks that night, the soft chatter, the laughter, and then, his voice. My brother's voice. The same one that once defended me in school, that cheered for me when I graduated. That night, it cut deeper than any stranger ever could. We were all gathered around the dining table at my parents' house, Mom's Sunday roast, Dad's usual wine, and my brother, Ethan, playing the charming son he always was. Everyone was in a good mood. It had been a while since we'd all been together, me, Ethan, his wife, and my parents. And then, as if waiting for the perfect moment, Ethan decided to humiliate me. He said it casually, almost like a joke. You know, Mom, maybe if Emma stopped jumping from job to job, she'd actually have a savings account by now. Everyone laughed, except me. I froze, the laughter echoing in my ears like static. I tried to smile it off, but my chest tightened. He wasn't wrong. I had changed jobs a few times. But he didn't need to say it like that, not in front of everyone. Not after everything I'd done for him. But that was only the beginning. Mom gently scolded him, Ethan, be nice. He shrugged. I'm just saying. We can't all take gap years at 30, and find ourselves. Some of us have responsibilities. That word, responsibilities, hit me hard. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew I'd left my last job to take care of Mom after her surgery. He knew I'd spent my savings on her medications. And yet, here he was, painting me as the failure. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. I wanted to say something. Anything. But Dad was watching, and I didn't want to ruin dinner. So I swallowed it. Like I always did. But inside, something cracked. Later that night, after everyone left the table, I went outside to breathe. The air was cold, sharp. And I heard him laughing inside, that same fake, confident laugh he always used when he was covering something. That's when I remembered. Last month, his wife, Clara, had called me in tears. She thought Ethan was hiding something, late-night texts, work trips that didn't add up. I told her it was probably nothing. That Ethan was just stressed. But now, sitting there under the dim porch light, I couldn't shake the thought, maybe he was projecting his guilt onto me. Maybe he was hiding something after all. A week passed. Ethan's words replayed in my head over and over. Every time I scrolled through social media, his perfect posts, family brunches, grind never stops captions, made my stomach twist. And then something strange happened. One afternoon, Clara texted me. Hey, Emma, do you know what this charge is? She sent a screenshot of a credit card statement. A hotel in downtown Boston. The date matched one of Ethan's business trips. I stared at the message, my fingers cold. I didn't want to believe it. But deep down, I already knew. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't stay silent anymore. I met Clara the next day. We sat in a small cafe near her office, the kind of place Ethan would never step foot in, because it wasn't upscale enough. She looked pale, eyes red from crying. I don't know what to do, she said quietly. He gets so defensive when I ask. Says I'm paranoid. I hesitated, then reached into my bag. I might have an idea. I'd found something a few days earlier while helping Mom sort through old family photos, Ethan's old laptop. He'd left it at their house years ago. He used to brag about how secure his stuff was. But Ethan was arrogant, and arrogant people make mistakes. So I took it home. That night, I opened it. Old passwords. Familiar folders. And then, a hidden folder named Finances. Inside were receipts, messages, and even photos. Photos that shattered whatever respect I still had for him. Hotel rooms. Text exchanges with someone named M. Not Clara. I remember whispering to myself, oh my God, my brother, the perfect son, the golden boy, was having an affair. And worse, he was using the family's company funds to pay for it. I didn't sleep that night. I kept hearing his voice, that smug tone, when he mocked me in front of our parents. All the years he'd called me irresponsible, while he was living a lie. The hypocrisy made me sick. But then a thought hit me, one that changed everything. He humiliated me publicly. Maybe it was time his truth came out the same way. The next weekend, Mom invited us all over again, another family night. Ethan texted me earlier that day. Try not to start drama this time, okay? Let's keep it civil. That message sealed it for me. I smiled to myself, then hit record on my phone. If he wanted to play perfect, I was ready to show everyone what perfection really looked like. I didn't sleep much before that dinner. Every possible scenario played out in my mind, his face when he realized I knew, my parents' expressions, the silence that would follow. Part of me was scared. Part of me was ready. I kept telling myself I wasn't doing this out of revenge. But deep down, I knew there was a part of me that wanted him to feel what I felt that night, that sting of humiliation. Still, I promised myself one thing. I'd only expose the truth if it became necessary. If he pushed me again. And, knowing Ethan, he would. The dinner started off almost identical to the last one. Mom had made lasagna this time, Clara looked distant, and Ethan arrived 15 minutes late, like always. He walked in, kissed Mom's cheek, and shot me a smile. That same smug, knowing smile. Hey, Em, he said. Still job hunting or found another passion project? Mom frowned, but he didn't care. He loved pushing limits. I laughed softly. Still working on a few things, I said. How's the consulting business going? His eyes narrowed for a second. Just a second. But I caught it. He recovered quickly. Good as ever, he said, grabbing his wine. Clara kept her head down. She barely spoke through dinner. And that's when I realized, she already knew more than she was letting on. After dessert, Dad suggested we all stay in the living room. He wanted to show some old home videos he'd converted from tape. I sat beside Mom while Ethan and Clara sat together, well, together in the loosest sense. He scrolled on his phone most of the time. Then Dad stepped out to get the next tape, and the room fell quiet. Ethan looked up from his phone. So, Em, he said, any luck finding something stable yet? His tone was sharp, calculated. He wanted another laugh at my expense. I smiled, calm, deliberate. Actually, yeah, I said. I've been working on something really interesting lately. Family finance analysis. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I looked straight at him. It means, looking into where family money really goes. For a second, the air left the room. Even Clara looked up. Mom blinked. Emma, what are you talking about? Ethan chuckled nervously. She's probably talking about her little projects again. Don't listen, Mom. She likes to make drama. I leaned back, folded my arms. Drama? That's funny. Because this project came with receipts. And then, I reached into my bag. The sound of the zipper felt deafening. Ethan's smirk faltered. What are you doing? I took out a small USB drive. You remember that old laptop you left at Mom's? The one with your consulting documents. Clara's face turned pale. Mom looked confused. Dad had just walked back in holding a tape, frozen mid-step. Ethan stood up. Emma, what the hell are you doing? I met his eyes. I'm showing everyone what you've been doing. Stop. His voice was low now, almost shaking. You don't know what you're talking about. Clara's voice trembled. Ethan, what's on that drive? He turned to her, desperate. Nothing, I swear. She's making stuff up. She's jealous or, don't, I interrupted. Don't lie to her again. I plugged the USB into Dad's laptop that was connected to the TV. The screen flickered. Folders appeared. And then, the photos. A hotel room. A woman with red hair. Ethan, smiling. Mom gasped. Dad's hand tightened around the remote. Clara just stared, silent, shaking. Emma, stop this right now. Ethan shouted, stepping forward. But I didn't move. You humiliated me in front of our parents for not being responsible, I said quietly. But this is what responsibility looks like for you. He turned to our parents, voice breaking. It's not what it looks like. She's twisting it, Clara's voice cut through him. How long, Ethan? He froze. She repeated, louder, how long have you been cheating on me? And for once, he had no words. Mom burst into tears. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 5 minutes. The perfect son. The role model. The one they'd always compared me to. And now, he just stood there, exposed. I used company funds, didn't you? I asked quietly. He didn't answer. That hotel was charged to the business card. Mom looked horrified. Ethan, please tell me that's not true. He just shook his head, muttering, you don't understand. It's complicated. Complicated. Dad said, his voice trembling with anger. You stole from the business your grandfather built. Ethan slammed his hand on the table. I earned that money. You don't know what it's like to carry this family. The silence that followed was suffocating. No one spoke. No one moved. Then, quietly, I said, you carried yourself, Ethan. That's all. He turned to me, eyes cold. You think you're so much better now. You think exposing me makes you a hero. I looked at him, not with anger, but with pity. No, I said softly. It just makes me free. And I meant it. For the first time, I wasn't the failure. I wasn't the black sheep. The truth had finally evened the ground. Clara stood up, grabbing her bag. I'm done, she said quietly. She walked to the door. Ethan tried to follow, but Dad stopped him. Let her go. The front door slammed shut. And the room fell into the kind of silence that only comes after a storm. Mom whispered, Emma, why didn't you tell us sooner? I sighed. Because I didn't want to break the family. But he already did. That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat in the kitchen alone. The USB drive lay on the table beside me. Part of me felt powerful. Part of me felt sick. Because no matter how justified it felt, I'd still exposed my brother. And some part of me wondered if I'd gone too far. That's when I heard footsteps. Ethan. He walked in, eyes bloodshot, face hollow. For once, he didn't look like the golden boy. He just looked human. He sat across from me. You destroyed me, he said quietly. I didn't reply. He leaned forward. You think this fixes anything? You think Mom and Dad are gonna look at you any different? I looked up. I don't care how they look at me anymore. I care about the truth. He scoffed. The truth. He shook his head. You don't even know half of it. I frowned. What are you talking about? He looked straight at me, eyes cold. You think you exposed my secret? You have no idea what I've been covering up for you. And my stomach dropped. For a few seconds, I couldn't even process what he'd just said. The room went still, the faint hum of the refrigerator was the only sound. What are you talking about? I asked, my voice low. Ethan leaned back, eyes empty. You think you're the only one who can dig through files and expose secrets. You should have checked yours. My pulse quickened. Mine? He smirked, not the arrogant, polished one he used at work, but something colder. You remember that loan Dad gave you when you quit your job to help Mom? The one you said you'd pay back once you were working again. I nodded slowly. He sighed. You didn't. You couldn't. So, guess who covered it? I froze. You? Yeah, he said bitterly. I paid it off. Quietly. Because Dad was ready to sell your car to cover it. I told him not to. I said you'd get back on your feet. My chest tightened. That doesn't change what you did. He laughed softly. Doesn't it? You humiliated me in front of them for what I did, but you were fine letting them believe you were independent, responsible. You let them believe you were the honest one. I looked down, ashamed. He wasn't wrong. I hadn't told them about the debt. But still, this wasn't the same. That's not a secret that ruins lives, Ethan. You cheated. You lied. You stole from the business. He leaned forward. And you exposed it not to help anyone, but to get even. His words hit harder than I expected. Because in that moment, I realized, he was right. It wasn't about justice anymore. It was about pain. And pain never ends cleanly. We sat in silence for a while, both too broken to keep fighting. Finally, I whispered, why huh? Why did you do it? He sighed, eyes distant. Because. I felt trapped. Everyone expected me to be perfect, the one who never failed, the one who carried the family business. But every day, I felt like I was drowning. That woman, she made me feel seen. Stupid, I know. I wanted to be angry, but I understood. Because in our family, love always came with conditions. Be successful. Be strong. Be better than your mistakes. I looked at him, not as my rival, but as my brother again. You could have told someone, I said softly. Instead of pretending. He shook his head. You don't tell the people who only love you when you're perfect. And for the first time, I saw the truth, not just his secret, but the wound underneath it. We were both just products of a family that valued image more than honesty. The next morning, Mom called a family meeting. She sat us all down, me, Ethan, and Dad, around the same table that had started it all. Her eyes were red from crying. We can't go on like this, she said. You're my children. I don't care about money or business. I just want my family back. Dad nodded silently. Ethan, what you did was wrong. You'll have to make it right, legally and personally. But Emma, he turned to me. You didn't have to humiliate him the same way he did to you. I felt my throat tighten. I know. Mom reached across the table, taking both our hands. You both hurt each other, because you wanted to be seen. That's what's breaking this family, not lies, not money, but pride. No one spoke. But for the first time, I felt something shift. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. A few weeks later, Ethan resigned from the family business. He moved out of town to start fresh, and Clara filed for separation. It hurt to see him go, but maybe distance was what we both needed. One evening, I got a text from him. "Thanks for forcing me to face it. I hate how it happened, but maybe I needed it." I stared at the message for a long time before replying, "We both did." Because it was true. Sometimes, exposing someone's secret doesn't free you, it shows you your own reflection. A month later, it was Mom's birthday. We all gathered again, smaller this time, quieter. Ethan couldn't make it, but he sent flowers and a message for her. When Mom read it, she cried. As I helped her clear the dishes, she looked at me and said softly, "You know, sweetie, I think you both just wanted to be understood." I smiled faintly. Maybe. But I think I also needed to understand myself. She nodded. "And did you?" I thought for a moment, then said, "Yeah. I think I finally did." Because the truth wasn't just about Ethan's lies, it was about mine, too. I'd hidden behind my resentment, my need to be right, for so long that I forgot why I wanted the truth in the first place. Not revenge. Just peace. A few nights later, I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee, scrolling through old photos. There we were, me and Ethan as kids, covered in mud, laughing like we didn't have a care in the world. I smiled sadly. We'd both lost that innocence somewhere along the way, but maybe, just maybe, this was how we'd start finding it again. I texted him, "No matter what happened, you'll always be my brother." A few minutes later, the typing bubble appeared. Then his reply, "Same here. And next time, dinner's on me." I laughed quietly. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was real. And for once, that was enough. Sometimes, the people closest to you hurt you the most, not because they hate you, but because they're hurting, too. And sometimes, exposing someone's secret doesn't destroy them, it saves both of you from pretending. I don't hate him anymore. But I'll never forget what he did. Because that's how we learn, not from perfection, but from pain, honesty, and the courage to finally face it. Microphone # if this story hit you hard, tell me in the comments what you would have done. Speech balloon, and if you've ever had to choose between truth and family, share this video. Someone out there needs to hear it.